Are you aware of the time in which 80% of abortions take place? Like the state of gestation?
Yeah, it's relatively early, first trimester.
Okay, do you know the week, perhaps?
I don't know.
Okay, so 80% of abortions occur before week 9, and you say that their babies are kicking and reacting.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what a 9-week-old fetus looks like?
Oh, yes, very well.
Yes, can you describe it to me?
Yeah. Well, I suppose by the 10th week. That's especially when you go in and you have your babies, you go in for an 8-week appointment. By the 8-week appointment, they can tell you the sex of your baby, which is amazing. That's how well formed they are already. By the 10-week appointment, they've got basically all of their features formed in a very rudimentary way, but they're already quite formed, and you can look, and they no longer look like a little tadpole entirely. They look much more like a human being.
Really?
And they've got their little fingers already and their little toes. Yeah, the tail's almost gone.
I actually have pictures for you.
Right.
So this is 9 weeks. This is what a 9-week fetus looks like.
Well, let me see.
I would like to, if you want to look at that, and you would like to look at that, you can look at this.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And I know that you
It's not like any ultrasound I've ever looked at, though.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought them. Because when
this isn't an ultrasound?
No, this is a 9-week fetus in a petri dish.
In a petri dish? Mm-hmm. Why do you have the thing in the petri dish?
To discount misinformation that is spread about this issue, just like you do.
How did the baby get into the petri dish?
I believe these are aborted. And so
So you're saying that a baby that has been sucked out and dismembered looks a little bit different.
They aren't dismembered because there isn't enough of them.
How are they aborted?
The fetus is barely recognizable to the naked eye at 9 weeks.
How is that baby aborted?
So at 9 weeks, it's usually just a pill that expels the fetus.
What does the pill, all the pill does is expel the baby?
Yeah, it basically makes the uterine lining not able to, or the fetus not able to adhere to the uterine lining, and it sheds it. There's various mechanisms.
Though. What are some of the other mechanisms?
Well, it depends on the week of gestation.
Let's say around 10 weeks we're talking about.
So I think after 10 weeks what they will do is it's no longer going to be a pill. They essentially inject like saline solution, and they inject, and it removes it from the uterine lining. So
it's basically a poison.
No, it's flushing. It's cleaning out the uterus.
But it's I'm not saying it's cyanide or something like that, but you're injecting a chemical into the uterus.
Usually like saline solution.
Right, but if I put saline solution on a slug, it'll shrivel up and die.
Yeah, are you a slug? Do humans react the same way to saline solution as slugs do?
Yes, little babies do. Actually.
No, it just
that's why
disconnects
you're using it to kill. Right,
no, so
right,
this
to
the
dissolve
reason
the connection between the baby and the placenta and the mother, and to flush out the poor little baby. So this is why I think it's really ghastly and disingenuous of you to
No, I'm bringing this because you consistently want to anthropomorphize this issue.
You described the baby as anthropomorphic. You described the baby as a human. You did. You said it's a human being.
It is a human being.
But you're accusing me of anthropomorphizing a human being?
This is a 9-week-old fetus. This is a 9-week-old fetus. And I bring this to try to address misinformation about, if you would please allow me to finish.
Sure, it's just really ghastly to show a picture of a person who's been killed.
And I apologize for that. But
Your apology implies that you'll correct your behavior. But you're not doing that.
Because people such as yourself, and there are multiple different websites that like to share propaganda about this issue. And I am here to try to present a medically accurate representation
of what a murder victim looks like.
Of what this issue is. Yeah. And when you try to act as though it is murder, I want your audience to truly understand what we are talking about. Because I am not saying that a woman with a desired pregnancy shouldn't feel connected to her fetus. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying when we have a person with an unwanted pregnancy, you cannot act as though their choice to, decide what is best for their life and their body is murder, when in reality it is a living person standing in front of you who's a living, breathing person with dreams and aspirations, who is a mother, sister, daughter.
Was a mother.
No, 59% of people who get abortions are mothers with existing children. And so
all of them have existing children. They all do. Bronte, what's so confusing about this to me, and what's very silly, I think, about showing pictures of aborted babies, is it would be as though if you were to ask me to show you a picture of, what does an Italian guy in New York look like? Okay, and I showed you a picture of a young 25-year-old Italian guy splayed out on the street, chopped up, bleeding, dead. Versus, an Italian boy, eating a bowl of spaghetti or something like that. Those two pictures would look very, very different. And so what the trick, the deception that you've engaged in, is you've taken a baby who has been killed through abortion and been separated from his mother and splayed out and squeezed out and looks unrecognizable, and you're pretending what you're pretending is that cadaver is what a baby who has not been killed by his mother, who is still in the womb and who is growing and who is exhibiting all the signs of life and who is moving and who has little fingernails, even at a small level.
No, this was expelled. It was not dismembered. If you look at this, primarily most of the tissue here is the gestational sac, because the beginnings of pregnancy, the gestational sac and the placenta are some of the first things created, because that is what attaches to the uterine lining and provides the fetus with resources and expels its waste. That is primarily in the first few weeks of pregnancy. Those are the tissue contents that are created before the fetus is really developed. In a 9-week-old fetus, like I have here, the fetus itself is hardly distinguishable to the human eye.
Because it's so small.
Because it's so small.
Yeah,
and so that is why I bring it up.
Because so hold on. Then because when you present this, you say, well, actually, this mostly isn't the fetus. This mostly is all this other stuff. Okay. But then you're not showing me what a fetus looks like. Then
the fetus is in this picture.
Right, but just very, very small.
That is how.
So how much of that picture is the fetus?
It is indistinguishable to the human eye.
Oh, so now all you're saying is the fetus at that stage. It's not that the fetus, looks like all this tissue actually isn't really the fetus, because you can't even see the fetus. It's
exactly.
in there, but you can't really see it. So now what you're admitting is you're not showing people a picture of a fetus. You're showing people a picture of a gestational sac that's been expelled with a tiny fetus. If you wanted to show people what a fetus looks like at the age of 10 weeks in gestation, you would show them the fetus itself, and you would have to zoom in because it's a very tiny little guy.
You would have to use a microscope
we have
in order to see it.
This is the year of our Lord 2022. We have plenty of medical technologies which are being put to great evil, but we can also put them to good use and show what the baby looks like. And it is simply a fact, at 10 weeks, the baby looks like a baby and has little fingernails and little toes and all his little extremities.
Do you see the baby in this photo?
I don't have a microscope.
Exactly, and that's what I'm telling you. And that's what I'm telling you.
That I need a microscope? So bring me a microscope.
So when we talk about abortion, 80% of abortions, this is the contents. And so when we talk about, can I please finish? Michael, I allowed you to finish, and I would.
Well, I appreciate you allowing me that, but I guess I don't want to move past this point. Your argument now is not that the baby looks in a way that you wouldn't expect the baby to look. Your argument is simply that abortion is permissible at this stage because the baby is very, very small and you can't see him in my photograph.
No, I am saying that abortion is permissible because it is about the use of the person's body who is pregnant. And I bring these photos because there is so much misinformation put out about this issue.
What is the misinformation?
Like you like to say, oh, they react when you eat something spicy. They have little fingers and toes. When in reality, the fetus at 9 weeks, where 80% of abortions occur, is hardly distinguishable to the human eye. So to say that a living person sitting in front of you with dreams and aspirations and health situations and financial situations, mental situations that you cannot possibly understand, when they are sitting in front of you telling you that they do not consent, whether it be because they cannot or will not, endure a pregnancy, you are saying that the tissue within their uterus, which is primarily just a gestational sac and a microscopic fetus, that is worth more than their desires about their own body. And, when misinformation is spread about this issue, it is as if these babies are dismembered and is this very emotional and manipulative language used, when in reality, that is not what happens.
They've only been poisoned with a pill and flushed out.
They haven't been poisoned. They've made the uterus uninhabitable, so then it is expelled.
Yeah, that sounds like poison to me.